What's going on, y'all? Taylor with y'all 106.7. Today, I'm joined by singer-songwriter Kanude. How are we doing?
We're doing great, Taylor. Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Did I say that with an accent? Like
Kanude, yeah. I've been accused of canoodling in a canoe and all sorts of things.
Is that your birth name?
No, but it's my last name. My government issue name his last name is Knudsen.
Okay.
But you don't hit your canine, you don't cut with a knife. Yeah. So it's always been one of those things where it's a phonetically challenged name, and just Kanude has been my nickname forever.
Just what they call you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you today, specifically about your new single, Born Again in Tennessee.
Yes.
That song is a tribute to Tennessee, because you grew up here, but you're not from here, right? You grew up in Texas?
I did not grow up here. My dad is a naval aviator, and he lives in Houston, and I was born in South Texas in a little town called Kingsville near Corpus Christi, where there's a naval air station. Only lived there like 6 months of my life, moved around the country, and then my mom got tired of the Navy life, and we settled in Texas. He got a gig there, and that's mainly where I grew up, was Houston.
So when did you move back to Music City?
Well, I'd never thought about moving here because I grew up, a child of FM rock, 101 KLOL and 96.7 rock, classic rock in Houston. Those formats have now moved on to other formats. I think 101 is a Latin hip-hop station now in Houston, but that was my jam, and so I lived in New York in the 90s. I lived in L.A. a couple times over the years, Berlin, Germany, Portland, Oregon. I've moved around a ton. And at this time in my life, this was the place to be, and it's just been magic.
Did you feel like you were born again in Tennessee when you got here?
When I wrote the song, I was, yes.
Did you talk about Music Row a little bit?
Yeah.
The Cumberland. So there are some very specific Tennessee references in the song.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that line actually, I think the original line on that verse was, when you're feeling down and out, no direction home, which is a Bob Dylan reference. Maybe someone bit your ass down on Music Row. And I was in with the McCrary Sisters recording, who are, Nashville royalty.
Yeah.
That line, and they kind of, squeamed at that line a little bit. So I rewrote it to make it more positive. So find a song that lifts you up down on Music Row.
I was wondering, because I was listening on Apple Music, and the lyrics still say, when you read the lyrics, someone bit your ass down on Music Row.
We got to fix that.
But I was listening to it, and I was like, that's not what he's singing. And I was showing him, I'm like, I'm confused. I don't know which one is right. But I like the bit your ass on Music Row. I think it's
kind of funny, but yeah.
When you're in the industry, you get it, I mean, they don't always play nice over there.
Management vetoed that line to make it a little more positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're playing it live, what comes out? The original lyric or the new one?
No, I'm pretty much committed to the record. Find a song that lifts you up down on Music Row. But yes, as a musician, it is a funny line because, it's a tough racket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's also interesting about that song is the producer, Shooter Jennings.
No, not exactly. So I'm the producer on this.
Okay.
And yes, Shooter,
so he mixed it.
Shooter is a Grammy-winning producer who's worked, lots of records, including Tanya Tucker's last two with Brandy Carlisle, that helped, where they all won Grammys for that record, which is incredible.
I love the documentary. Side note that they made about that. That was awesome.
I was fortunate to go to Hawaii a couple years ago, and I watched it on the plane. And it's just cool. Incredible story. Oh, amazing.
So what is Shooter's connection to the record then, since you're the producer?
He mixed the single.
Okay.
Yeah. And through his management, I was able to make that happen.
Have you guys met in person?
Well, that's funny. Yeah. So I met Shooter back in 2006. I was living in Houston, and I had written this stump song for a guy named Kinky Friedman, who's an icon of kind of Texas and an author and part of the Willie Nelson camp. God bless Willie. Mm-hmm. And I was we were up in Fort Worth that year where it was, and that's when I met Shooter for the first time and his bandmates. Yeah. Way back when.
Yeah, a lot of that Jennings family is very talented. You got Struggle Jennings. I mean, everyone just making music, and I love it. We actually interviewed Tanya's niece, Callie Tucker, in here not too long ago, so I just love that they're continuing their gifts.
Absolutely. So. Incredible family.
So when you think about your musical influences, you said a little bit of rock. Who did you like grow up listening to? And you're like, yeah, I want to make a song like that.
You know, there's a song on my debut here, which came out in '08, a self-titled debut that I produced. It's called Headphone Kids. And on that song, I really kind of tap into that experience of being a small child in the early 70s. And my dad had an actual reel-to-reel deck, the open reel decks, you know, like part of your old stereo systems, wood enclosure, you know, when those appliances were built to last a decade or longer. And it was mostly like the Beatles, Peter, Paul, and Mary, a lot of folk music, the Byrds. I mean, my dad I have some of his singles from when he was a kid in the 50s of Elvis Presley, you know, Sun Records, all those little labels, Dot Records. I mean, so many of them. So a lot of it was stuff that he was into, music that my dad listened to as a kid and was into in, I guess, his teen and early kind of 20s. And so, yeah, a lot of folk music, a lot of rock music, especially the Beatles. I mean, like that was a huge influence on me.
Yeah. Everyone, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that little band from Liverpool.
Yeah. So if you had to put like a genre on your music, because it's such a, I don't even know if I like the word genre because it almost puts you in a box, but where would you say that your music falls? Because you just played Americana Fest.
Well, Taylor, I'll tell you, when people ask me what genre of music you play, I say half jokingly, I play Americronica.
There you go.
And there's even a song on my 2017 record called Americronica. Yeah, it's definitely rock-leaning Americana, but I mean, stylistically on my records, it's a pastiche of genres, and one song may go into a song that's, you know, a different genre. Mm-hmm. I'm not making music that like Mr. Bungle or some other bands that I'm familiar with that is pushing every genre possible, even sometimes within one song. Mm-hmm. But it definitely is the broader kind of rock Americana singer-songwriter landscape, I guess.
And I was listening through your music. It's all like a little bit different. Your song Rise is very kind of easy listening, makes me want to roll the windows down, cruise, light it up like you were saying if you're into that sort of thing. So I love all of your songs and how they complement each other because it still stays true to your sound. Because you're making a sound that didn't even... Americronica, we called. Yeah. So how was Americana Fest?
Incredible. I mean, this year I didn't have any official showcases. I picked up a gig down at Leaper's Fork at a little speakeasy Saturday night that my friend Amanda Walker is doing, a residency. And the owner there, you know, Leaper's Fork is an amazing place. Actually, my friends were playing across the street at Fox and Lock, which is a cool little spot.
I have friends that play there.
Yeah, so actually that band is kind of an A-list cover band with Chris Rodriguez, who's on the track, who played with Keith Urban, one of my dear friends. Chris has played with Kenny Loggins. He's recorded and played with Wynonna, Reba. He's in a band called Generation Radio, which features Jay DeMarcus and Tom Yankton from Rascal Flatts, a guy named Jason Sheff, who replaced Peter Cetera in Chicago. So they do a lot of, a lot of private events and some public events. But they were playing, so that was just kind of a funny coincidence. But yeah, I mean, it's I feel so fortunate to have, in the short time I've been here, to have built some really deep connections. And as we all know, Nashville has such deep pockets of experience and talent. It just continues to blow my mind.
And you said Fox and Locks. I hear all the time on Leaper's Fork that like you never know who's going to roll in on like a Thursday night for open mic night and get up. So it's just the community of Music City is actually pretty small. So
it's true.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So when you look at the rest of 2024 and 2025, what does it look like for you? Are we going on the road?
Working on a Texas run and just kind of building that out, looking for some other opening slots to jump on and take my band out on the road. Yeah, really around the Midwest for now. Certainly in Tennessee on the heels of this song. So we're working on booking shows in Knoxville and Chattanooga and Memphis and just building the awareness about that single because it's a real anthem for the state, and I think it's compelling, and it's a really if you're into the Doobie Brothers or the Almonds, Almond Joy, any of those bands, this is a good song for you.
A Tennessee tribute, we love it.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, because we play 80s, 90s, early 2000s country,
sure.
What do you want them to know about you?
Oh, gosh. Well, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, you said?
Yeah, that's typically what we play. So we're introducing you to a new genre of fans. So what would you like them to know about you? Oh, my gosh, my mic broke. I would like them to know that we need new mics here.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I think, a lot of music that I've got in the pike, kind of in the hopper, is more Americana leaning. I don't really consider myself a country artist per se, but as I've gotten older and traveled quite a bit, I've grown to love, especially traditional country. I'm so thankful. I've got to pick it up soon. That I was lucky enough to commission a jacket from Manuel Cuevas, the famous, iconic designer who worked with Nudy Cone and a guy named Sal DeVore before that, making suits for the Rat Pack. And, specifically about Manuel, if you all don't know who he is, I mean, he's about 6 months older than Willie Nelson, who I hope pulls through his health issues right now. We're all kind of praying for him. But Manuel, if you don't, I mean, most people know in the country music world about Nudy suits, right?
Yeah.
And he's regaled me with some of the most incredible stories about Johnny Cash, Marty Stewart, Graham Parsons, who certainly inspired me with the Flying Burrito Brothers, iconic suits that Manuel made for that band way back when. And so I just feel really fortunate to be kind of coming into that world of traditional country and Americana music. I mean, I just played a show at WMOT, finally Fridays at 3rd and Lindsley with a great gal, India Ramey, who is out and about and, is holding up that flag of traditional country female songwriter music,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're very well dressed. I love your hat, so I can tell you're a fashionista when you walked in the door.
Shout out to Gage Spees, Three Horses Hat Company in Hendersonville.
Yeah, it looks custom made.
This hat is definitely custom made, definitely the most expensive piece of clothing I have on right now. And so I designed all these sacred geometry patterns, or didn't create them, but had them put on this leather signature piece and the antlers here on either side, and
that's awesome. The attention to detail. You mentioned Manny Cuevas. We actually went to his storefront out in Donaldson that he's getting ready to open a couple. Was that?
And that's the son of Manuel.
Okay, so you're talking about Manny Senior.
I'm talking about Manny Senior.
Yeah, he learned everything from his father. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah,
and he was telling me that his father started making the suit that Johnny Cash was buried in, and then he passed it on to Manny Jr. and said, "Why don't you finish this, son?" And that was kind of like his first big project that his dad entrusted him with. And then kind of from there.
He told me that when he was first making Johnny's suits, he got a lead on some inexpensive Italian black fabric, and Johnny said, "Well, these are all black, and Manuel kind of sold it to him, and that's how the whole Man in Black thing started, apparently."
Isn't that just awesome?
Amazing,
And the attention to detail that they put into every piece that they make, it's truly one of a kind.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's a special person. I'm so thankful to call him a friend now,
So what's the best way to keep up with you? Instagram? Do you have a website?
All of that. You just type in my name, go on your favorite platforms, listen to Born Again in Tennessee featuring the McCrary Sisters, mixed by Shooter, and send a message to me, and I'll come, request the single, request the music, and I'm excited to come to your town.
Born Again in Tennessee.
Yes.
Kanude, y'all, check him out. This is Y'all 106.7.
Thank you, Taylor.